The courtroom is silent. All eyes in the room turn to the screen as a grainy video creaks into existence. Kody Brown's voice, cutting and deliberate, rings out. "I never loved her as much as she felt that I did," he asserts. "I used her love as a lever." There are gasps across the benches. Meri buries her face in her hands, refusing to look at the judge. The courtroom, once abuzz with hushed gossip, now has the tension of a pressure cooker about to blow its top. This is not business as usual in court. This is the day the truth finally fights its way out of the dark. And what's on this tape will destroy all we ever believed about Kody Brown. But here's the question for you. If the guy who established a family based on faith and devotion owns up to playing with the same love that kept it going, what else has he been keeping from us? Before we dive in further, let me know in the comments, do you think this tape will finally break Kody's grip, or will he spin the story once more? The Flagstaff courthouse is chillier than normal, despite the heat of the Arizona sun outside. The marble floor rings with the step of attorneys and witnesses, their voices rebounding off the high ceiling. There is a weight to the atmosphere, one that no air conditioning system could produce. In the midst of it all, Kody Brown sits, fidgeting uncomfortably in his suit, his hair drawn back more tightly than normal, his jaw clenched. He attempts a confident air, but his eyes show a flash of fear. Meri Brown sits rigidly across from him, her fingers clasped together so tightly that they have turned white. She does not look at Kody once. To his right, Christine and Janelle exchange nervous whispers, Robyn sniffling into a tissue as she stands between loyalty and disbelief. The judge, a woman of years with no-nonsense credentials, holds up her hand for silence. "We are here to consider new evidence," she declares, her voice ringing out like a hammer ringing steel. The bailiff rewinds the tape. What appears next will lead everyone into a tempest they are not ready for. What if the tape didn't just reveal secrets, broke with everything the sister wives saga has ever represented? The sound starts scratchy, as if ripped from the corners of a secret talk, never intended to find the light of day. It's Kody, his voice unrestrained, nearly sarcastic. "Meri was always devoted. Too devoted. That's what made it easy." Meri's lips shake, but she says nothing. She gazes ahead, her eyes blank with a hurt so fresh it tugs on the breath of everyone in the room. The tape keeps going. Kody's tone is level, bordering on professional. "Her love wasn't love to me, it was leverage. I used it when I needed it. With the children, with the other wives, even the public." The judge leans forward, his eyebrows arched. This is not marital tension, it's deliberate manipulation. And in a flash, the audience sitting in the courtroom and at home starts to wonder if he would confess to this behind closed doors. What else wouldn't he confess to outside? The lawyers take advantage of the moment. Christine's attorney stands, moving slowly, relishing the stunned silence in the room. "Mr. Brown, do you not recognize this voice as your own?" The tape is halted, cold silence flooding the room once more. Kody swallows, attempting to rally his signature brashness. "I don't remember this. Anybody might have tampered with the tape." His statements quiver, gaunt and frail, like glass about to break. But the harm is done. The seed of doubt is already sown, and it's not just the judge who notices, it's his wives, his kids, and all of us viewers watching this trial. Because somewhere inside, the question isn't really whether or not the tape is authentic. It's whether this is only the beginning of many secrets still to be revealed. Halfway through the morning, the courtroom breaks briefly. Journalists cluster outside, cameras flashing, voices crowding one another. Is this the end of Kody Brown's credibility? One yells. How will Meri react? Another insists. In the courthouse cafe, Christine and Janelle sit at a tiny table, their coffees not even touched. Christine shakes her head, her voice cracking. "We knew he was rough with her, always, but hearing it like that." She pauses, her eyes welling up. "It's worse than I imagined." Janelle slowly nods. "It validates what we knew all those years. He wasn't just cold, he was calculating. That's a different level of betrayal." In the meanwhile, Robyn sits by herself at the edge of the cafe, holding her phone. She dials rapidly, speaking in hushed tones. "Kody, this is getting out of hand. You need to get in front of it. You can't let them capitalize on this." But deep inside, even Robyn is aware, the words on that recording are more weighty than any alibi. The judge reopens the courtroom, and suspense gathers once more. This time Meri is summoned to the stand. She steps slowly, her heels tapping like a metronome. measuring the seconds of fear. She sits down, her face white but resolute. Meri, the lawyer, starts softly. When you listen to that tape, do you feel it portrays your marriage to Kody Brown? Her voice trembles, but she does not relent. Yes, she asserts. I know it in every fiber of my being. That was my reality. My love was not so much taken for granted as weaponized against me. I lived in that reality every day. The gallery stirs, the judge raps for order, and Kody hides his face in his hands. And here, the distinction between family drama and legal controversy begins to blur in ways no one can help but notice. The first day ends with more questions than answers. The tape has cracked open a dam, and what comes out threatens to inundate everything Kody created. For years he preached unity, faith, and loyalty, but now, those very same words are being turned against him in a court of law. As the judge adjourns, Meri stands up from her chair, her back straighter than it has been in years. For the first time, she glares at Kody, not with love, not with hate, but with the cold eyes of a woman who has nothing left to lose. And although Section 1 closes here, the true storm is just getting started, because the next session will reveal why the tape was even there in the first place, and who dared to come forward with it. But before we go on, let me ask you, do you really think this tape was leaked by one of the wives themselves, or do you think there's an even larger hand behind it all? Leave your thoughts below in the comments. I'll be keeping an eye on them. The courtroom is abuzz with tense energy the next morning. Onlookers fidget in their seats, reporters hunch forward, and even the bailiff appears on edge. We are all waiting for one thing, the explanation. How did this secret recording even exist? Who created it? And why is it only coming out now, after all these years of silence? The judge holds up her hand for quiet, her stern eyes sweeping over the room. Ladies and gentlemen, she says, her voice firm, today, we will deal with the origin of this recording. What we find here may change the whole trajectory of this case. Think about being in that room, where one concealed tape can dismantle decades of deception, and the individual who brought it to the surface may be nearer to Kody than anyone cares to admit. The prosecution doesn't hesitate. Christine's lawyer stands up, his voice cutting as a razor. Your Honor, the court should be aware of this recording was not hacked, was not stolen, and was not fabricated. It was recorded by a person who knew the family well. A person who was a participant in those conversations. Gasps ripple through the gallery. The inference is weighty. If this tape was authentic, then someone within the circle, someone Kody trusted, betrayed him. Kody sets his jaw like a stone, stiffening. His lawyer objects immediately, flinging his arms. Speculation. We require evidence of who recorded this. But the judge is not fazed. Let us hear then, from the witness who brought it to light, she says. The back doors creak open. Everyone looks, and in they comes Leon, Meri and Kody's son, striding quietly. The room erupts into whispers, as Leon finds their way to the stand, sidestepping their furious father's glare. What if the most profound betrayal in this courtroom isn't between wife and husband, but between child and father? Leon swears, their voice firm, but their hands shaking minimally as they hold the railing. The lawyer starts. Can you explain to the court why you came forward with this tape? Leon nods, their gaze fixed on the judge. Because for years, I saw my mom crumble beneath the burden of this marriage. I watched her give it all, her trust, her love, her loyalty, and receive nothing in return but manipulation. That tape wasn't an accident, a slip of the tongue. It was who my father was, really, when he thought no one else heard. And I couldn't keep that secret anymore. Kody erupts, slamming his hand on the table. You're lying. You're twisting this family for your own agenda. His voice thunders through the courtroom, but the judge cuts him down with a single gavel strike. Mr. Brown, control yourself. The silence that follows is deafening. Kody sits back, red-faced, his chest rising and falling like a bull ready to charge. Robyn whispers something frantically in his ear, but he shakes her off, his eyes locked on Leon with a mix of fury and betrayal. And the audience can't help but wonder, if Kody lashes out like this in front of a judge, what was he capable of behind closed doors? The attorney presses on. Leon, can you explain how you came into possession of this recording? They gasp. It wasn't difficult. My dad became sloppy. He always talked on the phone, assuming no one was listening. I recorded those calls, not to hurt him but because I needed evidence. Evidence that what my mom and the others were experiencing wasn't just in their minds. Evidence that his cruelty wasn't fabricated. The gallery is charged now. Reporters write furiously. The cameras pop and hushed conversation goes flying from bench to bench. The fact that Kody's own son had been the one to tape him produces shock waves throughout the courtroom. The judge leans forward. Mr. Brown, do you deny the validity of this recording? Kody swallows hard, his bravado wavering. He begins to stutter. I was under pressure. Those words were taken out of context. But even he knows his excuses are wearing thin. The tape was too clear. The voice too unmistakably his. Because sometimes the truth doesn't need context. It just needs to be heard. The prosecution strikes while the iron is hot, producing another brief clip. This one has Kody's voice dripping with venom. Meri begged me to remain. She begged. And let me tell you, I let her believe it was important. Because her begging made me stronger than the rest of them. Meri covers her mouth with her hand, silently sobbing. Christine shakes her head in horror. And Janelle looks down, her own face weighed with a despair she can't conceal. Robyn weeps openly, grasping at her necklace as if it would stay her from shattering apart. The courtroom is charged with shock and disgust. Journalists write furiously, seeing headlines more incendiary than they could ever have conceived. The lawyer turns back to Leon. Hearing this, how do you feel now? Their voice is cracking, but not their resolve. I feel free. Because now everybody can see what we've been living with for years, and he can no longer hide behind cameras or charm anymore. Kody clutches the edge of the defense table, knuckles tighten to white. He appears less patriarch and more cornered man, seeing his empire disintegrate piece by agonizing piece. And here's the twist, the audience never saw coming. Sometimes the downfall of a man is not the result of his enemy, but of the truth his own offspring won't bury. The judge demands a brief recess, her gavel coming down like thunder. The audience spills out into the hallway, humming in dismay. Did you hear that? One breathes. His own child destroyed him. Another shakes their head. This trial isn't about money or divorce anymore. It's about revealing who Kody actually is. Within the defense chamber, Kody prowls like a caged beast. His lawyer urges him, "Come on, Kody. You must calm down. Your anger makes you look guilty." But Kody is beyond hearing. He punches his fist against the wall, growling, "They're turning my family against me. They're poisoning them." Robyn reaches out, sobbing, "Kody, please. This is destroying us." But even she cannot stop him. When court reconvenes, the judge's gaze is keener than ever. "We will keep investigating these recordings and how they affect us," she says. "But let it be made clear, truth will not be silenced in this courtroom." The gavel comes down again. And with that, the case is no longer a fight for family honor, but a war over truth itself. Because what's coming next isn't just testimony. It's the unraveling of decades of lies. And this tape? It's only the beginning. The gavel rings, and the courtroom falls into silence once more. But this silence is different, charged, like the air before a storm. The tape has already shattered Kody's carefully constructed facade, and Leon's testimony has ripped open wounds too deep to be denied. But today, something weightier hangs in the air. The judge's voice cuts through the tension. This court will now consider the psychological and emotional effect of Mr. Brown's behavior. Her words are like a warning shot. This is no longer about manipulation. This is about the soul of a family. What if today is the day love itself comes into the witness stand and becomes more deadly than any piece of evidence? The prosecution calls Meri back to the stand. The shuffle of her heels against the marble floor echoes like a drumbeat of dread. She looks smaller than yesterday, but there's a fire behind her eyes now, an ember that refuses to go out. As she settles in, the attorney approaches with measured steps. "Meri, you've heard the recordings, you've heard your husband, your partner describe your love as leverage. Tell this court what that did to you." Meri shudders a breath, her voice shaking initially. "It annihilated me," she whispers. "I thought if I loved him harder, prayed harder, remained faithful, maybe he'd notice me, maybe he'd care. And now to find out my love was only ever a bargaining chip." She breaks off, her voice cracking. "I don't even recognize who I was in that marriage anymore." The gallery shifts uncomfortably. Some wipe their eyes, others are stricken into stunned silence. Because betrayal doesn't always appear in screaming fights. It lurks in the silent moments where trust becomes chains. Kody fidgets in his seat at the defense table, his face a blend of anger and embarrassment. He mumbles something under his breath, but the microphones pick it up. She's exaggerating. The words spray through the air like venom. Christine gasps openly, her head shaking in horror. Janelle blinks down, lips pressed firmly together. Robyn leans over Kody, whispering wildly, "Stop, please stop." The lawyer seizes. "So, Mr. Brown, even today, listening to your wife tell of years of emotional destruction, you minimize her suffering as exaggeration." Kody's mouth opens, but the judge holds up her hand. "Mr. Brown, you will be silent unless sworn in as a witness." The power of her authority crushes him, and Kody reclines, his fury barely controlled. And for the first time, the courtroom questions, is this the fall of a man, or the unmasking of what he's been all along? The testimony goes on. Meri wipes away her tears and squares her shoulder. "I remained because I believed in family. I believed in faith. But I see now, I wasn't his partner. I was his pawn." Her words cut through the courtroom, biting and irrefutable. The attorney lets the silence linger before nodding. No further questions. When Meri steps down, Christine is next. Her energy is different, fiery, unapologetic. As she takes the stand, she glares at Kody with eyes that no longer carry an ounce of affection. "Christine," the attorney begins, "what was your reaction to hearing this tape?" Christine tilts forward, her tone firm. "I wasn't shocked." Exclamations of shock begin to circulate the room. She goes on, "I lived with that man long enough to realize he needed control. Meri's agony wasn't unusual. We all experienced it. That tape just verified what I already suspected. He never viewed us as equals. He viewed us as a threat to each other." The whispers resume in the room. The judge slams her gavel. But even she is shocked by Christine's courage. For truth, once uttered, tends to burn more fiercely than lies. The courtroom is more oppressive than ever. The air heavy with expectation, almost stifling. Kody Brown squirms uncomfortably in his chair, his restless fingers drumming against the polished table, darting glances to each of his wives. The mysterious envelope from last week is finally going to be revealed, and everyone senses that the moment can tip everything. Low whispers of lawyers, soft murmurs of spectators, even the hum of the cameras, all fade into a chilling stillness as the judge slowly lifts the flap. The tone of the judge cuts through the silence like a scimitar. "What I am about to tell you might change the direction of this family forever." The envelope tears apart, and the documents flow out, making clear horrific letters, covert money transfers, and personal revelations no one had ever dreamed they'd read. Millions of dollars, heretofore kept from the wives, are now followed in raw detail. But the real shock isn't money, it's betrayal. Allegiances believed to be impenetrable are breaking down, and secrets that were supposed to remain hidden are fighting their way into the light. Who can be trusted? And who will still be standing when it all comes crashing down? Meri's hands tremble as she reaches for the first page, eyes scanning the words that feel like a punch to the chest. Janelle's face tightens in disbelief and anger. Christine leans forward, pen poised, as if documenting each word could somehow help her process the magnitude of the deception. Robyn sits quietly, eyes cold and calculating, almost as if she has anticipated this moment and is ready to strike. The judge's voice turns stern. "These conversations demonstrate calculated manipulation, not only to mislead the court but to manipulate relationships within the family. The modus operandi is clear, deception at every turn." The room appears to be holding its breath. Kody's face pale. He realizes the empire of control and trust he has built is collapsing. Every revelation hurts deeper than money. It exposes the hidden cracks of this family, on the verge of breaking the bonds they've fought to maintain for so long. The first middle hook is scored when the wife's lawyer refers to a chain of transactions. "These were not mistakes," she says, voice firm and acid. "They were intentional, planned, and executed knowing they would mislead and manipulate. This is betrayal at its most fundamental level." Meri stands, weeping open. "We were in the dark. Each decision, each secret. How could you do that to us?" Her voice trembles with a mixture of sorrow and anger. Janelle's fists are clenched at her sides, the struggle in her burning like fire. Christine writes in furious bursts, catching the emotional pain as carefully as the facts. Robyn's very serenity adds to the tension, her eyes hard and The second middle hook comes when the judge reveals another bombshell. Some of the secret deals were planned to coincide with significant family milestones, so that Kody would divert attention while balancing books. This was not just financial dishonesty, this was emotional manipulation, planned and cruel. The judge explained. The courtroom gasps. the tension increasing to near impossible level. The further this inquiry delves, the more evident it becomes that trust in this family has been progressively dismantled, and the psychological repercussions may be disastrous. Kody at last gets his voice, low and strained. "I didn't mean for it to come to this," he admits, his eyes on his wives, but the room is unforgiving. Meri's expression is a glare of hurt. Janelle's jaw tightens with rage. Christine's eyes blaze cold and hard, asking what had happened. Robyn remains calm, her mind probably racing with strategy. The attorneys begin producing more emails, texts, and internal correspondence of the family members, communications that betray the underground alliance, quiet grievances, and secret understandings that have governed the inner life of the family. With each revelation, it's like a bomb explodes in the room, further undermining the trust. Meri's voice cracks as she reads aloud from a message that appears to implicate Kody in deliberately hiding assets from certain wives. "How could you? Was anything real?" The courtroom is silent, the weight of her words hanging heavily in the air. Janelle points to a second paper, voice outrage. "You didn't think we would notice, Kody, but all these deceptions have a boomerang effect. And now we are paying for it with your deception." Her anger fills the room, a frenzy of hurt, anger, and shatteredness. Christine steps forward, voice hard but with an edge. "This is not about money. This is about trust. And trust that is broken cannot be easily repaired. Every family, every relationship, every bond, everything is at stake here." Robyn's voice finally breaks the tension, calm but frightening. "We have the facts. The rest is up to the court. But understand this, those who have betrayed will pay penalties far greater than monetary reparation." Her words send shudders to the room. The judge thunders forward, gavel in hand, far from over. Every file, every letter will be examined. The emotional and financial stakes are high, and I expect cooperation. The judge holds up one particularly damning document, allowing it to dangle in front of all present. "This letter," he declares harshly, "is a concerted attempt to pit family members against each other, all in the guise of amassing greater power and wealth in secret. This is not fraud. This is manipulation at its worst." Gasps echo throughout the courtroom. Kody falls back in his chair, realizing the enormity of what he has done. Meri silently sobs, overwhelmed by grief. Janelle's hands are clenched so hard they're white-knuckled. Christine scribbles furiously, absorbing the consequences. Robyn doesn't bat an eye, but her gaze flashes with calculating intelligence. She knows how to play this. Each revelation makes the fractures larger within the family, and they're left to contend with betrayals they could never have conceived, and leave the viewer on tenterhooks with every tight moment. The attorneys trace out the likely consequences: redistribution of wealth, public humiliation, and psychic effects that could last a lifetime. The tension is boiling over, each glance, each word, each step a heavy thing. The Brown family will have to confront a reality that could change everything they believed about themselves and about each other. Kody leans back, trembling, a fleeting look of weakness on his face. "I was trying to protect the family," he whispers. But the room is not lenient. Meri 6'6", voice stern. "Protecting? By keeping it all hidden? By manipulating our feelings and our money? This isn't protection. This is betrayal." The judge adjourns, but tension in the courtroom does not fade. The wives glower at each other, each struggling with the revelations differently. Anger, sorrow, determination, scheming. Kody observes that power dynamics have irreversibly shifted, and the secrets that assisted him in manipulating the story are going to destroy everything. As the courtroom empties, one envelope remains on the judge's bench, still sealed. Its contents are unknown, but the waiting is torturous. When it is finally opened, it will show the ultimate act of betrayal, one that will shatter the Brown family once and for all. The courtroom is electric, the tension heavy enough to be felt. Each seat seems electrified with expectation. Each gaze is fixed on the judge and on the pile of remaining testimony. Kody Brown crosses his legs, tight, palms sweating, as he glances at the final envelope that could unmake the final threads of power he thought he held. The wives cross differently. Meri trembling, Janelle pursed lips and furious, Christine keen and focused, and Robyn, serene but unmistakably calculating. The air vibrates with tension, and even the cameras of the press seem to feel the drama before it actually breaks out. The judge's voice slices through the hush. "What you're about to witness here is unprecedented in this courtroom. What's contained in this envelope represents the ultimate betrayal, one that jeopardizes not only the economic health of this family, but the very foundation of their relationships. Every secret file, every modified transaction, every lie will now be exposed. And once that occurs, nothing will ever be the same. The words hang in the air like a storm gathering. Kody swallows, the silence of the years pressurized around him like a rock. Meri gasps, her eyes already brimming with tears. Janelle's fists clench, Christine leans forward, eyes narrowed, pen ready to jot down every damning detail, and Robyn's cold calculating stare suggests that maybe she'd known this was coming all along. Slowly the judge opens the envelope, and papers and letters so damning that the room gasps in unison. They disclose deliberate manipulation of funds, secret associations, and individual backstabbing hidden for over a decade. Every shred of information is a body blow, each one more disappointing than the last. The truth has a way of toppling even the grandest facades, and this family is soon going to feel the full force of its touch. The attorneys for the wives step forward, their voices trembling with suppressed outrage. Your Honor, these documents show not only fiscal fraud, but psychological manipulation on the part of the head of this household. Each deal, each clandestine letter was meant to defraud and deceive. The courtroom murmurs with speculations. Flash bulbs illuminate the shock in the face of Kody and the wives, their emotions unwatered and raw. The first middle hook strikes as the judge reads aloud a particularly shocking email, written in Kody's hand, which outlines a plan to redistribute millions to certain family members while keeping others in the dark. The courtroom gasps, Meri's face turns pale, Janelle's eyes flash with anger, Christine scribbles furiously, and Robyn's calm stare hints at knowledge she may have withheld for strategic purposes. Kody tries to speak in his own defense, his voice trembling. I felt like I was protecting everybody. I did not want anyone to feel left behind. But words are inadequate under the weight of the proof. The room is unforgiving. The wives are no longer kids to be advised. They are grown women, betrayed and fully cognizant of the deception. The emotional tension mounts as the judge continues. There are communications showing a deliberate effort to turn family members against each other, to instill distrust, and to exert control. This is not financial mismanagement. It's a betrayal of the worst kind. All of today's revelations put a strain on the family's fabric, and all of us lean over our seats, waiting for repercussions. Meri finally rises, voice trembling but unyielding. We trusted him. We trusted us. And now all of this has been shattered. The lies, the deception, those are over. Her words ring throughout the courtroom, a bitter outcry of suffering and determination. Janelle advances, fists clenched, voice slashing. You imagined you could control it all, Kody. But the truth doesn't bend to anyone. We are done being controlled. Christine breaks in, icy and unyielding. Accountability is the way forward. All decisions, all deception, all hidden documents, they all need justice. Robyn's gentle tone halts the increasing chaos. We have discovered more than has been revealed. And sooner or later, the final truth will exclude any doubt. The consequences shall reach those who have misrepresented, and the lessons shall be learned. The courtroom is held in suspense as the judge prepares to release the final bombshell of evidence, a pile of documents explaining the extent of the financial manipulation and clandestine alliances. The room becomes silent. Everyone feels that what happens in the next few minutes will determine the destiny of Kody and the entire family situation. The judge holds the last document. This is proof that bears to the very end the complete scope of fraud, which shows who benefited and who lost. The consequences of that will be radical, and the decisions made today will be enduring. Gasp emanates in the courtroom. Kody's hands tremble. Meri silently sobs, stunned by the depth of betrayal. Janelle's fists are white-knuckled, Christine's eyes icy and resolute, and Robyn is unruffled, her calculated gaze suggesting that she has an agenda for the secrets. The attorneys outline the penalty, asset redistribution, possible legal penalty, and most important of all, the emotional cost of the fraud. The judge emphasizes that family trust could never be restored, and the very bonds which held them together could irreparably break. Kody lies back, voice breaking. I believed I was doing the right thing. I didn't want to hurt anyone. Meri interrupts brutally, crying. Right thing? You concealed all this from us. You played games with our lives, our trust. Do you realize the damage? Janelle stands firm, shaking voice steady. We will no longer allow manipulation to control our lives. This is finished. Christine's pen freezes as she watches the confrontation build. And then she talks, slow and measured. This isn't about forgiveness. This is about truth. And the truth cannot be denied. Robyn finally stands up, her voice icy in its crystalline precision. We've seen it all. We've waited. And now the truth has come. All actions have repercussions. Every betrayal will be attended to. The courtroom is full of emotion. The air is filled with tension, anger, and raw pain. Kody is slumped over, the empire he had built on secrecy and domination disintegrating bit by bit. The wives once under his control, now united in the pursuit of truth and justice. The drama is at hand, the time when deceptions come to a head, and the family is faced with the repercussions of decades of dishonesty. Everyone in the audience is tense, betrayed, and facing the inevitability of repercussion. The judge finally slams the gavel. The court will review all evidence closely. Rulings will be made on restitution, accountability, and openness. But one thing for sure, trust has been broken, and it will be difficult, if not impossible, to restore. The courtroom begins to empty, but the emotional weight lingers. Meri, Janelle, and Christine exchange glances, stiff, resolute, and unyielding. Robyn's calm demeanor suggests she has the upper hand, but the family dynamics will never be the same. Kody remains in grim silence, weighing the consequences of his actions. The camera lingers on the judge's chambers, still unopened envelope, reportedly containing evidence that would turn everything upside down. The suspense is unbearable. Who will triumph? Who will lose? And what will remain of the Brown family when the truth finally comes into full view? As the episode comes to a close, we're left wondering, if you were in the Brown family's shoes, what would you do when your trust is broken and your secrets are exposed? Let us know in the comments below. How would you handle this betrayal? The final curtain falls on this dramatic courtroom drama, leaving viewers emotionally spent, breathless, and crying out for answers. Each deception, each betrayal, and each dramatic reveal has pushed the Brown family to a crossroads from which there can be no going back.